Bienvenidos a Wrestling Binge Face. Soy Adam McCoy.
Soy Amanda Kathleen. Adam and I work in TV. We watch a lot of TV. If we made a spooky company, it would be to scare people with TV.
Ooh.
We will come into your TV and scare you. Like my head would pop in.
Mm-hmm.
We take the glass out and I would come out of it and they would get so scared because they would think it's poltergeist happening.
Yeah.
That they would die.
Or The Ring.
Or The Ring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Spooky.
It's spooky. That brings us into what we're watching this week. Los Espookys, Season 1.
Yes.
So if you listen to our beginning, that was in Spanish.
Sí. Señorita es muy español.
If you didn't realize that already. But Adam's got some Espanol knowledge to drop.
Sí. So this is just such an odd show all around.
It is, yeah.
Because I try to find like the beginnings of the show.
Uh-huh.
And there's really like no...
No?
Like
Someone had an idea and they
story
did it?
behind it. Fred Armisen's like, I always kind of wanted to do a show in Spanish.
Right.
And then I like horror stuff. And I've been pitching the idea around for a while.
Oh, really?
And so he'd worked with Julio Torres on Saturday Night Live.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of got along. And then somehow Ana Fabrega got involved with it.
Okay.
And he's like, hey, guys, why don't we do this show? So they kind of started working on, really the idea was just to have a show only in Spanish.
Right.
Yes, that was the main
I mean,
point.
it's mainly in Spanish.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Fred Armisen, like his mother's from Venezuela,
Mm-hmm.
and this is kind of something he's wanted to do for a while.
Right.
They pitched the idea to HBO, and HBO was like, sure. So then they came up with all the, with the rest of it.
I'm very surprised I guess because I think had Fred Armisen not been attached, it would have went to Latin HBO, right?
I think so, probably.
But because he's there, they're like, put it on the main slate.
It's produced by Lorne Michaels, who's one of the producers.
Which I was like, what? I was like, that's cool.
I know, yeah. And it's weird that it's HBO, not anything to do with NBC or NBC Universal. But hey, okay. That's
sure,
good.
why not?
I did read that Fred Armisen was kind of obsessed with horror growing up.
Oh,
he said he always
really?
wanted to live in a horror movie, which is kind of where the idea came from.
That's crazy.
He loved the old Hammer films, which is like the British version of the horror, and also the Universal Dracula.
Oh, right.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's really all the backstory there is. They were like, okay, we're going to make this show. For some reason, also, he just really liked the idea of wearing a red vest and being a valet, so they added that in the show.
I like his I mean, in the pilot, like, his first line is, like, telling his nephew, I've always wanted to park cars for a living, and that's what I do.
Yes. Mm-hmm. The flashback scene with him on the Hot Wheels.
Right.
Fantastic. But it's already been picked up for a second season. It actually got picked up pretty quickly for a second season.
I think I heard that, yeah.
So that'll be interesting where they go from
It's got
there.
a nice end.
Yeah.
So, more Espookys going on.
They did say that one thing they think is funny because part of the shows, there's some English in the show.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, but it's all mostly in Spanish.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of made for an American audience.
Mm.
Because, and so they think it's funny. The creators are like, I think people in Spanish who are watching it are like, this is kind of weird because probably the Americans, they must think that's funny. And then the Americans are like, oh, this is kind of weird, probably because it's in Spanish and maybe we don't kind of get the reference of how weird it is. So they think that's kind of funny. They're like, I think it works both ways. It's just weird.
It's just weird,
but
generally,
I think people are going to be like, yeah, it's weird because it's Spanish. And,
right.
Latin America, like, I think it's weird because it's Americanized. That's what where the weird comes in. But no, it's just weird all around.
Right.
That way. So the character that plays Ronaldo with no Y.
No Y.
And then the character who plays Ursula, they're both actual, like, serious actors, not really comedy. They haven't really done a lot of comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So they were brought into this series. They hit the ground running.
Right.
But they both have backgrounds in drama.
Like serious.
Yeah, like actual drama stuff.
Yeah.
And the other two are just completely comedy, like SNL. And then the Toddy character she played in the Amy Sedaris show. She wrote for she's had a character in that show. And she wrote for the Gethard show. Mm-hmm. Remember his show? It's an internet show. She wrote for like all of his shows that were on True TV.
Right.
So she's really into comedy.
She's American?
She is American
because they say this line in the beginning, which I think is hilarious. Her accent
So she grew up in America, but speaking Spanish at a young age.
Right.
But everyone around her spoke English.
Right.
So she still spoke at home occasionally, but she did lose the accent.
Right.
And that's why they intentionally put that part in there.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to sound weird that
She did a semester in Minnesota, but still doesn't know how to speak
learn
English.
but still has picked up the accent.
I was wondering. That's
pretty funny.
When they said, because you can tell her accent's not as the same as the other ones. So I was like, I wonder if she's American.
Yeah, so she was Americanized very early.
Right.
Which I thought it was funny. They were like, how are we going to explain this? We'll just write it in there. We'll tell them later. Yeah, you guys heard that part, right?
Right.
That's why she sounds
different. That's why she doesn't sound Mexican.
But that's another reason why it's not set in any specific city.
It looks like it's Mexico.
Well,
right? Because it sounds like it's close to Los Angeles.
The original title was going to be Mexico City. Only good things happen. But it's not in Mexico City. They said it was going to be too hard to try to keep trying to bring up Mexico, in Mexico City. But also that helps to explain why all the accents are a little bit different.
Right.
Like Fred Armisen is doing like his mother's version of that accent from what he knew growing up, and they're all from different areas. So I think it adds to it. It's just kind of like this quirky place.
It's just a Spanish location.
Yeah. Who knows where it's
maybe close to Los Angeles, maybe not.
Yeah. And one more thing that I thought was kind of interesting, the Bernardo Valesco, he does play Ronaldo. He talks about how when he read for the role, he thought it was interesting because he grew up like a Marilyn Manson fan. He had like a room in the garage where it was like dark. He never wore the clothes though because he said his grandma wouldn't love him anymore if he dressed like that. So it was kind of nice to relive that on the show where he's totally decked out in the outfit.
That's funny.
That way. But it's just such a weird, even the creation of the show, like I said, it's just so random.
It is.
Like, there's not like, I had this great idea that we need to do. It's kind of like, well, this could happen.
Right.
And then it was made. So.
See what can happen, kids.
Yeah, just try.
Just try. So Adam's done dropping knowledge. This is your spoiler warning. I highly recommend go watching it. Even if you can't read good, give it a try.
Yeah, you can stop it and pause.
You can stop it. Take a moment. Do it. Educate yourself.
Literally 6 episodes.
It's literally 6 episodes.
Yeah, like 24 and a half minutes long each. So.
Yeah. So, Los Espookys, Season 1, overview. A group of friends start a horror business together. Also, some weird shit happens.
The end.
That's basically it. So, Ronaldo and 2 of his friends throw a quinceañera party for his cousin, his niece,
sister.
His sister.
Yeah.
And Fred Armisen, who plays Uncle Tico, really likes it and says, you guys should start a business. And so they do that. So they put on spooky horror things to help their clients.
Yes.
One client needs...
The priest wants them to fake an exorcism because the new hot, glossy lip priest is stealing his thunder. So he's like, but no kids have been, possessed lately. So you guys could just fake that. It'd be great.
Yeah. And then there's a good one where they fake a sea monster for the beach.
For the tourism.
So there's like different things here and there. And then you have a strong follow-through plot of each individual character. There's stuff going on in their life. So Ronaldo's the first one. He's very happy-go-lucky, loves doing horror, spooks. That's all he wants to do. He's happy doing it.
He lives for that.
And then Andres is also known as the Chocolate Prince because his mother and father, who he believes is his adopted mother and father because they found him at an orphanage, run a candy company.
Yes.
And their goal in this show is to get him to marry the Cookie
Prince.
The Cookie Prince's empire.
And merge the empires.
Merge them together.
It makes such great chocolate creations as Mickey Mouse and Harvey Potter's.
What's the chocolate they had to... the Charlie Wonkas.
Charlie Wonka. They got a
they got a cease and desist for that one.
But at least we can rely on our Mickey Mouse.
And then there's Ursula, who is like a dental...
Hygienist also makes the teeth, the fake teeth,
Yeah. So she's doing that on the side to get money. But they all rather be doing spooky horror stuff, And then her sister Tati is just
crazy.
She is an island on her own. She's there to help out when they need it. Her jobs consist of blowing a fan on the priest, moving a second hand on a clock,
A human Fitbit. She
Human
count
Fitbit.
stuff.
She counts stuff. Basically, like.
That's what when I read that Torres is like one of my favorite things was writing the jobs for her. Just coming up with the most random jobs.
It's hilarious.
That she would have.
Yeah. And then Uncle Tico, who is Fred Armisen, pops in and out valet in Los Angeles.
The only person in the world.
He's like the valet.
Who can park 2 cars at the same time.
Exactly. He is the valet. And then Carol Kane comes in halfway through as a
out of nowhere
famous director, Bianca Nova. That's Ronaldo's favorite director of like horror films. And I mean that's a side note, but like she's not part of the cast. But yeah.
But it's nice to see
her. But that's a good one. Yeah.
It was a fun. It's a fun
little show.
Trip through horror and
I think
Spanish.
Yeah, I think if you're like Adam and you've been watching horror movies all of your life and you watch this, it's kind of like you resonate with that. Like if you could be making a spooky horror company, you would definitely be doing that.
And it was so great that because the Carol Kane character was big in the 70s when it was practical, cheap, gory, over-the-top effects. And that's what they do. There's nothing fancy.
Right, there's nothing fancy.
Like when they pretend to be the aliens, it's so obviously fake.
Obviously fake.
That they're fooling government officials still.
Right.
But it's just, and the big ropes and levers and everything. It's just very, old school.
It is.
Which I think is fun.
Yeah.
And it's a funny concept.
It's really easy to follow. There's nothing complicated. I think each plot of every episode is very well done. And I think the actors are do it very well.
Yeah.
It's very smart and very, very funny.
Kind of like Portlandia. It's like very smart.
It's very kind of like Portlandia.
And the fact that a joke or something will hit and then no acknowledgement to it and move on.
Some of Andres one-liners are like so good. Like, and what the problem is with reading is that you read it and then you kind of have to think about it for a second and you go, oh my God, that's so instead of just like hearing them say it. But
yeah, there was so much, like every part of it was just chock full of so much stuff.
I think my favorite Andres moment was when they dress up as trolls and they go to that weird guy Pepito's house. Oh. And they're like, so what do you want us to do? And he's like, well, if you could sit on your lap and like what? And Andres is like, oh, I understand this. You're a pervert. Okay, yeah, we're leaving. It's probably my favorite line of his.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were so many little things that just hit that were so funny, and it was just chock full of them quick, and it just moved on. It wasn't dull or didn't have any like parts that were lacking, I think.
It was very much like Napoleon Dynamite or Nacho Libre, and the fact that it was just like straight. Like this is your joke, straight.
Almost underplayed, but not in a bad way. Just like, there you go, so subtle. And that's what made it so funny. Because if it was at all any more over the top, it would not be.
No.
But yeah.
And I think the mix of actual weird fantasy in it, that maybe they were living in some weird place also is kind of cool, because like what they're doing is not real. They're making up horror, spooky stuff. But
or is the weird stuff that happens just in Andre's head, like
right? But you also have the TV talent lady who doesn't remember why she's on set, and then her manager's trying to find another person to replace her. And they have there's like an eerie thing about
the magical mirror portal where the like ambassador gets sucked into it.
Like she actually gets sucked through. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a bit of that.
So I think that's cool. Like it's obvious what they're doing is not real, but there is some real spooky stuff is happening. Stuff. Yeah. So it's a good mix of like.
Which from reading Julio Torres, who was the other writer with it,
right,
was not. He's not a big fan of horror. Much more supernatural kind of that kind of thing. So that's probably where that element comes into it more than just the
that there's a demon water lady inside of him that wants to watch the King's Speech.
I'm not a shadow in the water. I'm the shadow of the water. What? That was fun. I read about the point of that, which is kind of funny, how the media will just kind of push something like everyone should love this movie. It's fantastic. And it got so bad that even a water shadow demon heard about this, and she's like, I have to watch this movie because it's fantastic.
Right, and then they watch it, and she's like, no, it's okay.
It's all right. It's okay, I guess. I don't know if it was worth the wait or all the pressure.
He's like torrenting it. Like it's fantastic.
Yeah. I did see that. Oh well, maybe we'll get into this. So, what favorite episodes that you had?
I love all of them. Like honestly, like all of the episodes are really great because each one like they're trying to spook in each one and it's different and
yeah.
I don't know. I enjoy all of them. I do.
I enjoy them all. I think the pilot's probably my favorite episode.
The pilot's really good.
And I did realize after watching them all and then reading about it, that's the only one that Fred Armisen wrote on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he wrote on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other 5 episodes were from, again, I'm going to butcher the names here, but from Julio Torres and Ana Fabrega. Mm-hmm. The other 5 were just written by those two. That's who wrote the show.
Right.
The rest of them. So the only one that he actually wrote on was the pilot. And it wasn't like the other ones were bad, but I think there's a little bit more in the pilot episode. A little bit more of
him in it, maybe.
Kind of like when they're describing the valet, maybe because he wanted to be a valet, but like the scene where he's blindfolded and they talk about he's the only man who can park 2 cars at once. It was a little punchier that way, I think. But yeah, every episode was really good.
It's just in my wheelhouse, of like weird, funny things. Like that's my jam. And I think it's
slightly off kilter.
Right. It even kind of reminds me of Erie, Indiana a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like weird shit is happening and everyone's like just going about their business. Like it's cool.
Yeah. But it's a world where Duke can pretend to be a cartoon prince and try to fall in love with
that whole storyline. All I want is Tati to get with this Duke and she just is like, you lied to me. I can never be with you. It's very good.
Yeah.
The whole thing's very good. Tati's probably one of my favorite characters.
For sure.
Yeah. Shit.
Because it's just so random.
So hilarious.
What happens? What about pet peeves or least favorite episodes?
I didn't have any pet peeves. I think at the end, I think it's the last episode when they're separated and like they're not together. I want them back together. Yeah. So I was like, no, go back together because it's kind of.
But that you were invested in the show. So
I was.
Nice job, yeah.
So it was very good. What bingeability would you give it?
I'm gonna give it a 4.5.
I want to give it a 5, but I'm gonna give it a 4.5 just because I have to read it and it's very hard for me because they talk very fast. So I have to read very fast, and I'm not a good reader. So
those words again.
Those damn words. If I was a fast reader, I would definitely give it a 5. But because it takes me a little bit, I have to give it a 4.5 because I watched it in cycles.
It's also just like you're like kind of one slight step removed. Like if you were picking up on it as you're watching it, you'd be into it that much more. But it is like even visually trying to watch it and read the words at the same time, it does kind of pull you out of it a little bit.
It does.
But, it's still really good.
No, it's very good.
If it were all in your language. But then also it wouldn't be as weird, I think, as an American
audience.
It
gives it like a
little more foreign
Nacho
feel.
Libre type like it's a little removed, but it's very funny. Yeah. Yeah. If I knew Spanish,
you'd really love
more
it.
than I do. I'm very bad at it.
You'd be so into it.
That leads us into our last segment, Snack Attack. What were you eating while binging Los Espookys?
Well, since it was so close to Halloween, dipping into the candy reserve, trick-or-treaters, one that you will vehemently disagree with, but Tootsie Rolls.
The old man candy.
Tootsie Roll midgets, which is probably inappropriate.
Oh my God.
Can you even say that anymore? But that's what they're called.
Why can't they just be called minis?
They should. They probably have changed the name of them by now, but
yeah. Or miniature.
Miniatures, yeah. But the mini Tootsie Rolls. I'm sorry, it's a great candy. Say what you will. I was going to do a bit here, Stump Amanda on the favorite and least favorite Halloween candies.
Right.
But I don't want to get into it with you because it'll just
we're
infuriate
at
each
odds.
other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, I'm living in an 80-year-old man's mind.
Adam's
with my candy choice.
Adam's from the 1920s.
Yep.
Where all they eat are
I go out
Tootsie
into
Rolls.
the Charleston and we eat Tootsie Rolls.
Tootsie Rolls and chalk candy. Mmm.
Later on, we'll get a brown cow.
I actually like brown cows.
Yeah.
So we have a Halloween edition Snack Attack. Ooh. Also Dia de los Muertos.
Yeah.
From Halloween to November 2nd, Still celebrating.
Still spooky.
Still spooky. First up, candy. Any candy. Any candy will do. whatever your little heart desires.
Except circus peanuts.
If you come over to my house, don't fucking bring me Tootsie Rolls. Or Tootsie Pops.
Just bring them over to me.
Or peanut involved caramel thing. I don't know. Just bring me some motherfucking Snickers and we'll be good.
Okay.
Agree
to disagree. When in Rome.
When in Rome. The next one, very classic Halloween food. Popcorn balls.
Oh, yeah.
You get them as a kid. You're like, what the fuck are these? You throw them in the trash.
No.
But now as an adult, you like them. They're like kettle corn in a ball.
Mm-hmm.
It's very good.
You can eat like an apple. You feel like it's a fruit.
Speaking of fruit, caramel apples.
Fantastic.
I don't like the candy apples because the hard shell is just begging for you to like hurt your tooth or something.
I think personally, they're better in theory than they are in real life. It's super hard to eat. You end up eating all the caramel, then it's just a green apple.
It's
you're like, this is kind of
you
sour.
have one of the hardest fruits and you put a layer of extra hard on top. It's like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
The caramel apple is better because it's softer.
Mm-hmm.
You get some nuts in there.
Yeah.
There's no nuts on the candy ones. Get that shit out of here.
Still, I think it's kind of it's overrated, but I'll go with you on this one.
Caramel apples. I'm going to go to more of a Dia de los Muertos and say, I found a picture of this and I want to do it at a Halloween party, but it's guacamole with chips, but the guacamole is coming out of a pumpkin.
Oh, yeah, pumpkin's mouth. Like
and
they're
he's
vomiting
throwing
it
it
out.
up, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's kind of gross, but I'm like, that's a good idea.
That would be a good one. That would be a hit at a party.
That would be a hit, right?
If you walked into someone's house carrying that, like, here we go. It's going to be vomiting the guacamole.
They're going to go, oh, that's so gross. Wow, that guac's really good. That's how it'll go. Second to last is all your favorite stick your hand in mystery food items. So you got your peeled grapes.
Mm-hmm. Eyeballs.
You got your spaghetti, which is supposed to be intestines, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Worms, brains, something.
Something. And then cut up in ketchup, I guess. Weenies for like fingers.
Easy.
Little weenie.
Okay, yeah.
Little hot dog weenies as fingers.
Those are some tiny fingers.
Those are some tiny fingers. You can literally use anything. Anything that grosses you out, put it in a bowl. Have people stick their hands in. Don't eat it after you stick your hand in. But I mean, I guess if you want to.
It's almost flu season. Let's not do that. Save yourself some heartache. Don't do it.
And then last but not least, anything pumpkin flavored. Literally anything pumpkin flavored.
You're going to get to a pet peeve of mine.
Baked goods.
Because
lattes.
Pumpkin flavored or pumpkin spice flavored?
Obviously the spice, but you can do pumpkin pie. I know some people want to wait till Thanksgiving, but you can eat a pumpkin pie.
Okay. They should have stopped putting the term pumpkin in there because there's no pumpkin.
But pumpkin bread has pumpkin in it.
Yes, but pumpkin spice lattes have no pumpkin in them.
Well, but that tastes good.
Agree to disagree.
I'm a basic bitch. And I need some pumpkin.
You need your...
I need my PSL. Actually, PSL's a little too sweet, so...
Okay.
I will eat anything pumpkin. If you, like, right now I'm having a very hard time because Trader Joe's has literally everything you can imagine as pumpkin flavored.
Pumpkin spice.
And I want to get everything, but my husband will punch me in the face if I get everything pumpkin because he doesn't eat that. But I want it. I want it all. I literally even bought the spice that says pumpkin spice on it.
Yeah, well, that's an actual spice.
So I can hoard onto it.
Ugh, it's so bad.
For the whole year.
Okay.
Call me basic if you want to, but this basic bitch here loves pumpkin.
Love your pumpkin spice. Pumpkin spice.
I love pumpkin and pumpkin spice.
Okay. Pumpkin bread is great. Pumpkin cookies, real pumpkin. Fantastic. But just throwing pumpkin spice in something is not.
I'm going to put a big old dollop of pumpkin in your coffee.
Pumpkin or pumpkin spice?
Yeah, no, pumpkin out of the can.
That'll be fantastic.
Great.
Add some fiber in there. Perfect.
So what are we doing next week, Adam?
Well, next week we're going to start our series on TV shows that are developed from movies.
Because there's a lot of them.
And we're going to be watching Dark Crystal.
Ooh, one of my favorite movies.
Mm-hmm. Somebody here likes it a lot more than somebody else.
That's me.
Yeah.
That's me.
But I'm excited. It looks really cool.
It looks super cool.
I'm glad to see this come back after 25 years?
I guess.
30 years?
Yeah.
Oh, 30. Easily, right?
Yeah, because it was in the 80s.
Yeah.
84.
So it has a comeback. So it's going to be a mix of
It's mix
practical
of
effects,
practical
with some
puppets.
CGI.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see.
It's interesting to see because like the CGI is just so good now.
Yeah.
And that they're using practical also. The
Mm-hmm.
mix will be great to see how
I'm gonna
that
try to
turns out.
get my kids to watch this. I try to get them to watch the original movie.
Your kids
and
are like snobs.
Labyrinth, and they did not get into it.
Ugh, okay.
So, but on a side note, Labyrinth is better than Dark Crystal.
Yes, Labyrinth
Okay.
is better than Dark Crystal. However, I have a feeling that this show will be better than both.
Okay.
So
We'll wait and see.
we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because they did Dark Crystal first.
Yeah.
And then they got a little better.
They were like, oh,
And then
we
they
realized
did
what we did
Labyrinth.
wrong, and now we got to fix it in Labyrinth.
And also you have David Bowie in it
Mhm.
and David Bowie's package. So that's missing out of
this is true.
Dark Crystal.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's there. You just don't notice. It's in the background.
Oh, is it in the background?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Uncredited appearance.
Appearance of David Bowie and his package.
Mm-hmm. Just the package, not David Bowie.
No. His package just decided to go on set.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you guys for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and share. If you want to leave a comment how you want us to watch more Spanish TV shows, or if Los Espookys isn't scary enough for you, you need it more scary. You're like Adam, you want it just like Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Yeah.
You want blood, you want gore, you want scaries.
You want more.
You want
of
more.
blood and gore. Definitely probably the least spooky are the ones we watched.
Yeah, but it's right up my alley.
Yeah.
I gave you Ash vs. Evil
You
Dead.
are not a horror fan. I get it now.
You know, whatever. Maybe next season we'll kick it up a notch. Let us know if you want us to kick it up a notch. Bam.
Bam.
Bam it up in here. Thank you guys, and we'll see you bingers next week.
Adios.